I'm very happy and excited to see you all coming up one by one as we are coming close to Pesach and following that Sfirat Omer. I like to start with a nigun. So let's do it. Let's do it together. You're all muted. I'm speaking, and I sent you the melody. I sent you the words. כמעשה לבנת הספיר וכעצם השמיים לתורה. כמעשה לבנת הספיר וכעצם השמיים לטוהר, כמעשה לבנת הספיר וכעצם השמיים לטוהר. 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 So these are verses from the end of Parashat Mishpatim, when Moshe and Aaron and 70 elders going up and to the mountain, and they see the divine, and they see what's under the divine's legs. ותחת רגליו, under the feet, כמעשה לבנת הספיר. It's like the work of the whiteness of the bricks of sapphire. Sapir, Sefirot. This is our connection. So we'll get to the Sefirot in a moment, and we'll start with Sfirat Omer. So the mitzvah is to count for 49 days from somewhere around Pesach, not sure what exactly is Lemacharat HaShabbat, but we have a tradition that this is the night after the first day of Pesach, and until we get to 9 days later to the day of the 50, which will be another holiday called Shavuot. Now, if I would have asked you what is Sfirat Omer all about, you will say, oh, it's the path from when we left Mitzrayim and went in the desert and got to Matan Torah and Shavuot, right? Would you say that? Raise your hands if you did. You would say that. And you would be right, but this is the truth, but not the whole truth. Because the level that we have in Torah has nothing to do with Shavuot. It has to do with the agriculture of cutting the first sheaves of barley, Ketzir Tzeorim, until we get 50 days later to Ketzir Chitim, which is connected to Shavuot. We're bringing, Ketzir Chitim is the cutting the sheaves of wheat. So it's agriculture. It has to do with the season. Yes, Pesach has always had to do with Yetziat Mitzrayim. But when exactly is Shavuot? That is 50 days later. But is Shavuot the time of Matan Torah? That's kind of a later connection that was made between them. Okay, so why am I telling you those two layers? That, as I said, they're both true. because part of what we're going to discuss, I'm going to ask you to discern between today and Mimochorat Shabbat, is what kind of journey would you like to take this year? You all joined here because you want to do the journey. And I'm quite convinced that for all of you, if not definitely most of you, you've done it before. And I think most of you already know Sefirot, what it is about. So what I'm interested for myself as well as for you is to find out what kind of journey would you like to do? What is the work, what's the inner work that we would like to choose? Because it's not the same for every person and it's not the same every year. And it's not really prescribed what you have to do, except for the fact that in the evening of the day, you have to say, today is the first day of the Omer. Today is the second day of the Omer, and it is connected into the 7 weeks. Shavuot means weeks, the festival of weeks. So we want to count 7 weeks. So we say, once we get to the second week, we will say today is 8 days, which are 1 week and 1 day. Okay? So this is the mitzvah. If you've done it, you haven't thought about it at all, you took the 30 seconds it takes to do that, you've counted. There comes later the Kabbalistic understanding that reads everything in the eyes of the Sod, through the lens of Sod, through the lens of the secrets. And this is what we're here for. This is why you all signed up. And it's connecting to the whole notion of Sefirot. So what is Sefirot and which Sefirot are talking about? Now, because this is an introductory shiur, and because there's lots of people here, we will have less of a discussion. When we continue to the other 7 weeks, I will have more time for opening up and asking the kahal. So that's my disclaimer for this week. But I want to start with the whole what are the Sefirot, what it is about, why are they connected to the Omer, and what is this overlay? So when we say in our liturgy, in our mitzvot, the Kabbalists have made meaning for all of them. Every mitzvah that we have has a deeper Kabbalistic meaning. But I don't think there's there's 2 things that made it to the top, mainstream Judaism. One of it is Kabbalat Shabbat, which didn't exist until the 16th century. And the other one, which is a bit earlier, is the Sephirotic connection to Sfirat HaOmer. Now, when you, backtracking a bit. So when we talk about Sfirat HaOmer, we talk about 7 Sefirot, right? It's 7 weeks, it's 7 Sefirot, but we all know that there are 10 Sefirot. And Sefer Yetzirah, which is the earlier place where we hear the term Sefirot, it says there have to be 10 but not 9, 10 but not 11. What are we doing here with 7? The 10 Sefirot are connected, are separated in many ways, but the biggest separation is between the top 3 Sefirot and the 7 lowest Sefirot. And now I'll share the diagram that you have in your I sent it to your inbox, and you could see. Can everybody see it? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. So this is a very old diagram. It comes from Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, a book, Pardes Rimonim, 16th century. And we can see here the Sefirot and the connection between them. And we have here Keter, we see Chochmah, Bina, and then we see Gdula, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. You all have seen this diagram. Probably you've seen instead of Gdula, the word Chesed. We'll talk about it later. But the other names you kind of know. You might have also heard of the Sfira of Da'at, which will be around here. And that also we'll talk about later. But this is the 10 Sfirot in a very nice diagram. There is the right side, there's the left side, there's a middle pillar. This is a three-dimensional model. And there's the 10. What are these 10 Sfirot? What are these 10 Sfirot? It's the Kabbalist idea of what is God and what is reality. In the words of Kabbalah, we say there is Maaseh Merkava and Maaseh Bereshit. The workings of the Merkava, the chariot of God, and Maaseh Bereshit, the works of creation. So this in Kabbalist eyes, and there's many, many, many different ways of looking at Sfirot in many, many books, and they're slightly different from here and there, but everybody agrees of the 10. Reb Zaman says, well, that makes sense. Look, we've got 10 hands. So already he is hinting to the fact that there's a connection between 10 and the human being. And that is a hidden, very important understanding of the Sfirot, that Sfirot are actually not just a diagram of God, but a diagram of humans. Because as we know, B'Tselem Elohim, Asa et Adam. So if we look at ourselves and we are born in the image of God, it gives us a kind of idea, maybe heretical idea, but definitely a Kabbalistic idea, that God looks like us. We look like God and God looks like us. This is, I would say, the fundamental idea that sits in the questions, why do I count Sfirat Omer beyond just fulfilling a mitzvah? There is kind of a vibration connection between the human image and the divine image. So the 10 Sfirot are an image of God. The 10 Sfirot are image of us. השמיים מספרים כבוד אל. What is ספירה? ספירה is a unique word, and it actually doesn't mean anything but itself as a noun. I mean, ספירה also means counting, okay? As a verb. So we connect it, but ספירה, it's not sphera or sphere, because, you know, sometimes you make them look like circles. So we think they are, that's the word is sphere, but not. Sphira is a name on itself, and it means this thing. And then we try to find out where does it come from, and we're always interested in what does it mean in the Hebrew. So we have for that the song that we just sing, right? You see here on your screen, ויראו את אלוהי ישראל ותחת רגליו כמעשה לבנת הספיר וכעצם השמיים לטוהר. Sapphire. Sapphire, they say, is a stone that has all the colors in it. I would say it's not like the blue sapphire that we have, but maybe it is, because that's a color of the sky. So there's something about the sapphire that is both connected to light, to breaking of the light, to the sky, and to divine. And this is, in this connotation, this is the meeting point between us and the divine. This is as far as we can get to the divine. When we can look, because we cannot, you cannot look at God and be alive, but you can look at what's underneath the feet of God. At least 72 of us could do that. And that is something that we want to touch, we want to get to. We want to get close to what is the essence of God, and what is the image of God, and what is the moment of interface between the divine and us. And I'm doing it really, really quickly, okay? This is something, each pasuk here, we can do a full shiur on. The other one that we look at the shoresh of Sefirah is the word sipur. And this is the pasuk from Psalm 19, השמיים מספרים כבוד אל ומעשה ידיו מגיד הרקיע. The heavens declare the glory of God. Declare the מספרים, comes from the shoresh Sefirah, and the firmament shows God's handiwork. So we have here something which is like so exciting when we're thinking of like creating a journey. It's like, what's the story? What is the story of God? What is the story of me? What's the story of things being created? This is the place when you use the Sefirot as like, when you look at the Sefirot as the DNA of everything. Like it's the DNA of creation, it's the DNA of each of us, it's the DNA of any relationship that we have, it's the DNA of our businesses. So every situation that you want to go into, you can look at it spherotically. If any of you are familiar with the system called the Enneagram, then that's 11, not 10. So it's definitely not the Sefirot. But it also means it said, okay, that's the characteristics of this. These are characteristics of that. You're now in this point, then you're moving to that point, or you look inside and you said, this is the way I'm in this Sefirah, this is the way in that Sefirah. When you look at, let's say you want to start a business, you'll say, okay, I'm now at the level of Keter in my planning, and I'm going to go to Chokhmah from this, and then I go to Bina from that. And now I'm sharing with you another characteristic of the Sefirot, that they are, the language we use in Kabbalah is Atzilut, Atzala, emanation, that they have a direction. And something comes from something. And when they develop one into the other, then it will create a certain reality. And you can work with the Sefirot in many different ways. You can say, okay, I'm starting in Keter, I'm going into Chokhmah, I'm going to Bina. This is the order. I'm going to Gedula Chesed, from there to Gevura, from there to Tiferet. And then I will go to Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. And next 7 weeks, we will know what does it mean to be in Chesed, what does it mean to be in Gevurah. But as you could see, there's pathways. There's more than pathways. Oh, there's a connection between Keter, Tiferet, Yesod, and Malchut, the middle pillar. There's connection between Chokhmah, Gedula, Chesed, and Netzach. This is the right size. There's other information that we find out that this is the masculine side, this is the feminine side. What does that mean? And we can see that things connect, just like in the body, right? This is the right brain. It will influence the left of the body. The left brain will influence the right side of the body. That we know from the way we walk, and we know it from science. So everything is connecting to, every Sefirah is connected to, many Sefirot are connected to many Sefirot. Not all of them are connected to all of them. The diagram that you see here is is like a Jewish classic diagram. When you say Yesod is only connecting to Malchut. And if you might see other diagram, when you see like you can be getting other ways into Malchut not through Yesod, they usually come from Christian Kabbalah. So I'm putting some, Easter is coming up, so I have to admit that I'm putting some Easter eggs in what I'm saying, and not everything will be found today. So we had, we talked about Sapir a little bit. We talked a little bit about Sipur, and there's also about Misparim, like that numbers and letters. Because according to Sefer Yetzirah in the Zohar, the building block of our world are letters, the 22 letters, and the 10 digits, together 32. And if you count those passages that I are connecting to the Sefirot, the 32. That's called 32 Netivot Chokhmah, the 32 path of wisdom. So really, in a nutshell, this is the origin of the word Sefirot. And I wanted to now I wanted to talk a little bit about the names of the Sefirot, where did they come from? Why do we have these names? So we'll go back into our page, and we'll see psukim that things come from. So there's Keter, Chokhmah, and Binah, right? Keter, Chokhmah, and Binah. And they are said to be taken from this pasuk from Job. I did not even bother to translate it because it only works in the Hebrew. And there it says, "HaChokhmah me'ayin timatzeh ve'ei ze mekom binah." What does it mean in translation? It said, where does Chokhmah, wisdom, come from? Where does understanding comes from? Where wisdom and understanding are interchangeable in a biblical poetry way. This is called chiastic building of a pasuk. HaChokhmah me'ayin timatzeh ve'ei ze mekom binah. Chokhmah, binah, me'ayin, eize, and beautiful poetry. But the Kabbalists know how to read it, and they say, you know where Chokhmah comes from? It comes from ayin. This is Keter. Keter is actually not even part of the body. It's the top of the body. It's connected to Ein Sof, and it's called ayin. So Chokhmah comes from ayin, and next to Chokhmah is Binah. Another verse that you might want to know is when we talk about Sfira of Dat, and this is a Mishlei, Ecclesiastes verse that talks about Maseh Bereshit, the building of creation. And this is like the pre-thought of creation. And we have those words, Adonai b'chokhmah yasad aretz, konen shamayim bitvuna, beda'ato tehomot nifka'u. Yudavave, with wisdom founded the earth, with tevuna, binah, understanding established the heaven, and with da'at, knowledge, the depths were broken up. So we can see how these words came into being. We don't have Keter, okay? Keter is a later term. We'll get to it very soon. We're going to talk about the Zohar, because the Zohar is excited very much about Keter. But what we get from the idea of Keter, that it has to do with the king, okay? The king we know, okay? A very, very ancient idea about the divine or the creator. Well, then we have the Keter and the Chokhmah and the Binah, and we're going to talk about this. I mean, these are fascinating Sefirot. We're going to talk about them very little because they're not part of a Sfirat HaOmer. Why they're not part of the Sfirat HaOmer? Because we're only counting 7 Sefirot. There's no room for them. But this is just like a half joke of saying it. We are Keter, Chokhmah, Ubinah. There are the Sefirot which are above creation. This is, you would say, the Godhead, the minds, or the 3 minds of the divine, where Keter is called the supreme will, Ratzon Ha'elyon. Like if God is about to launch this creation of the world, it has to come from somewhere. It comes from Keter. Keter, which connected to the Ein Sof, the infinite, okay? So what that process that's happening there, we're not talking about now, because it's not part of our class this year, but that's a supreme will. And then they're gonna go into Chokhmah, which also is called Father, which also connected to the right brain, and this is where the flicker of intuition comes from. This is like, we all know it. When do you suddenly be there and suddenly you've got an idea? You've got an idea, you don't have the details, yes, you don't have the flash, it's a flash of intuition or a moment of creativity, and it's like, okay, it's there. When that's happening in the human realm, this is where ideas and the beginning of processes starts. That's in Chokhmah. And then it will move into Binah, into left brain, which is busy with analysis, with breaking down into ideas. When it says, okay, I've got an idea. It actually wasn't my idea. You know whose idea was that I teach this class? That was Daniel's idea. So that for me, he was Keter. And then he threw me the bomb. And then I caught it in Chokhmah. And I was like, well, last time I thought it was 10 years ago. There is at least one person here who was in my class 10 years ago, and that is Aviva. I don't know if there's anybody else. So we were there in Chokhmah, and there was like, and then it moves to Binah. In Binah, it's like, okay, do I have time to prepare this class? Do I need to sit down and need to write a blurb? I need to think how I'm gonna set it up. I need to start. So Binah is starting to build it, to break it into the ideas, but Binah is just is the mother. So you can say the seed was from the father, the mother is catching it in its womb, and they call Binah Ima Ila'a, the supreme mother. That is actually the name in Kabbalah. And just gestation starts. So in the beginning, it's just a little embryo that looks like a peanut, and then slowly it starts, stem cells start developing, but really nothing is happening until we hit the 7 lower Sefirot. This is all in God's head, or it's all in my head, or it's all in your head. Okay, nothing happens. So many ideas, so many plans, so many things do not make it into reality. And as we see it in Maaseh Bereshit, Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or, suddenly it moved from Binah into the first Sefirah, which is connected to the first day of creation, which will become Sfirat Chesed, which will be the time when light is created, when we are connecting the Sefirot to the 7 days of creation. Sefirot are sometimes called Avnei HaBinyan, the stones that we build, that the world was built from. And now we get into the level of like, okay, you know what we're dealing with? We're dealing with 7, because all Sfirat Omer is not about the Godhead. It's about the created world. The world has been created. We have been created. Those 7 Sfirot are going to vibrate with parts of our body and parts of our reality, and we're going to start exploring them. So I want to open the floor to a couple of questions, and just unmute your, you can raise your hand with using the raise hand symbol. Abby, bevakasha.
Thank you for all that. It's wonderful to see you and be here. Well, where does Da'at fit in?
Okay, yes, that. Remember I said there's only 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. So we can't have that and we can't have Keter at the same time, right? So this actually is not a big deal for the Kabbalist. There is a system that will emphasize Keter and a system that will emphasize Da'at. The question is like, which one is the hidden Sfirah? Is it Keter or is it Da'at? So Keter, those who would like to go with that, I think first and foremost is Chabad, right? Chabad is Rashi Tevot of Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, and Rashi Tevot. How do you say Rashi Tevot in English? Acronym of Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. It's not that they don't recognize Keter, but they said Keter is above counting. Sfirot, Misparim, Keter is above counting. They would basically elevate Ayin to Ein Sof, so to speak. So So they will, if we look, as soon we'll see the Sefirot in the body, they will say Keter is above the body. Okay? It's right here. If you want to work with that, that's what you do if you want to work with that. If you want to work with Keter, and you want your upper triangle to be Keter, Chochma, and Bina, then you don't count that. Okay, so your system, like the diagram I showed you before from the Ramak, doesn't count that. Not that the Ramak doesn't talk about that. We all know that that is there. That is connected to this area, and it's the middle pillar will have 4 Sefirot, right? So either it will have Keter or it will have that. Okay, and then Tiferet and Yesod. That's the short answer. Is that okay? Good. I would like to take a great question. Can I take one more question? Yes, Shireen.
Okay, so this might be too much to ask right now, but how is this different than chakras?
It's a different counting. It's a different way where you place things. But I can send you. When I work on my book with Reb Zalman, we wrote a book of his teaching together, and we have actually tried to make a connection between the Sefirot and the Chakrot. So I would send it to you. So
Thank you.
You can look at it there. It's
Thank
a good
you.
question. It's a great question. Okay, so I want to go back into the system and look into the names of those 7 Sefirot, the heroes of our journey, of our Omer journey. Where do they come from? ויברך דוד את אדוני לעיני כל הקהל, ויאמר דוד, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהי ישראל אבינו מעולם ועד העולם. David was blessing Hashem before the congregation. This is a great praise moment. Blessed are you, Yudavave, the God of Israel, our Father. And now he's starting to sing. Lecha Adonai hagedula, והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, והמתנשא לכל ראש. Okay, where did I sing from? Come on, unlock and unmute and say.
Shabbat morning.
The Torah
Shabbat morning.
service.
Yeah, the Torah service. So we are taking David blessing and we affirm it for God's glory every week and actually every day. We say just before, and this is really, really, really wonderful. So I always create playlists for my classes, and in the playlist, this is what you know from the Ashkenazi Shul, but I also gave you the melody that we wrote in Avat Tehillah for this. And this is where the names of the Sefirot come from. Okay? This is the name, and then we'll go back to the diagram, and you will see why do we have this Gedula that we didn't know what to know, where does it come from? This is the diagram from the Ramak. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד, כי חול בשמיים ובארץ. אופס, כתוב כאן יסוד. What does you mean חול בשמיים ובארץ? לך אדוני הממלכה. ממלכה מלכות. So 2 things don't work so well for us. What's Gedula and we call it Chesed? Well, they had to call it Gedula because that was the pasuk. So it's written Gedula, but very, very fast it moves into Chesed because it works better with the meaning. So Chesed and Gedula interchange. Why is Kol Yesod? Zohar. Okay? In Zohar, or, the pasuk came before the Zohar. But when we get to the Zohar, we hardly hear the names of the Sefirot. We only hear other names that the Zohar knows that they are the Sefirot. I'm going to tell you more about it in just 1 minute. So Kol means Yesod. In every place that in Kabbalistic word you'll see the word Kol, it's Yesod. But the others, this is where the names come from. And it's nice. I remember that I've discovered it actually a little bit after I started learning about Sefirot. And I was like, oh, I mean, I discovered, I sing it every Shabbat, but it didn't sink in. So it was a nice discovery for me. And if it's new for you, wonderful. I want to show you now another level of connecting the Sefirot to our work, because we have a text in Tikkunei HaZohar. Tikkunei HaZohar is part of the Zoharic literature, but it's different from the Zohar. And it's from the 14th century, and it has definitely a different writer. It's not the same style. And from the Hakdama of Tikkunei HaZohar, there is a piece that is brought from the name of the prophet Elijah. It's called Patach Eliyahu. Eliyahu opened his mouth, and he gives a whole treaty about the Sefirot there. And I sent it to you. I put just a few pieces, but since it's from Sefaria, you can click and read the whole Eliyahu speech, and it's wonderful. So basically, what Eliyahu is saying, he puts the Sefirot on the human body. Now, before we looked at the diagram of the Sefirot, it might not have bothered you that I looked at here and I said, this is right. I said, this is the right side, this is the left side. But if you look at the human form here, this is the right side, and this is the left side, right? Diagrams of Sefirot are mirror. So you should know that what you feel mirroring your right is right. So here is where it is in the body, and we can read it in a minute in the text. Keter, you see here in this diagram, Keter is above the head. Some will put it here in the crown of the head, okay? Chochma and Bina, and in the body, Chesed, right arm, Gevura, left arm, Tiferet, heart, Netzach, right leg, Hod, left leg. There could be other body parts that it's connected to. Yesod has to do with the male organ. And Malchut, here it is the feet, it's true, but also the Malchut has to do with the female reproductive organ, and also the mouth, because it's two mouths that are, so it's used as mouth, it's also mouth, and it's also here. So here is the Patach Eliyahu. When he starts, he said, oh yeah, master of the world, you are one, and not in number, but there's 10. But don't you think that the 10, don't you ever for 1 minute think that this is not one? Okay, this is an important thing that I actually haven't said yet, which is like, what are we doing here with 10? Yeah, like, what are we, Christians that say there's 3 and the 3 is 1? So actually, this is one of the critiques that there is on the Sefirot system by the Kabbalist Abu Lafia. He said, what are you, Christians? You do 10, which is 1, and 1 is 10. I don't like it. But the rest of the Kabbalists did like it, but stressing again and again that it is, you have to know that the 10 is 1 and the 1 is 10. So he said, I'll read, this is from the Tikkunei HaZohar right here. He says, Chesed roa yemina, Chesed is the right arm, Gevura is the left arm, Tiferet is the body itself. That's interesting. I said it's the heart, but he says it's the body. Netzach and Hod are the 2 thighs. Yesod is the end of the body. The end of the body is a euphemism for the phallus. And then he says, not euphemism. Od Brit Kodesh, the sign of a holy covenant. Not just, it's not just a penis, it's a circumcised penis. Malchut Peh. Malchut is the mouth. And then he's saying another thing, that Malchut is called Torah Shebe'al Peh. And that's maybe another little piece of information that we want to know, that there is a Torah Shebichtav and Torah Shebe'al Peh. Torah Shebichtav has to do with Tiferet, and Torah Shebe'al Peh is the Shekhinah. So we'll get there when we get into Shekhinah in 7 weeks. So these are the 7, and they are in the body. So I would like just for a moment to get a sense of the body. Chochma, I didn't bring the pieces, but Chochma, Keta Chochma and Bina, they're in the head. Okay? They're in the head. I wonder if the whole practice of Sfirat Omer is to get us out of our head. Embodied practice. Could that be it? Us and the Jews, we'll see. Don't quite believe that we can do it, but we can try. We can try. We can practice. We can try that. Okay? So let's try and have a sense of chesed. Gevurah has to do with the right hand. Okay? The right hand is the strongest hand, stronger arms for most people. So when we say Yemin Adonai Osach Chayil, the right hand of God is doing, that's the one that gives. Okay, that's the one that gives. If you want to stand up, you can. I don't want to stand up because I'll get out of. Well, maybe later when we'll get a bit down. Okay, now Gevurah. Gevurah is maybe is it in for you? Is it in the shoulders? Is it in the arm itself? What is the Gevurah? Gevurah is maybe the one that said stop. Yeah, it's so funny because Gevurah sometimes is stronger than all the other Sefirot, but it was put on the left side, which for most people is the weaker side, because there's some kind of understanding that we never want Gevurah to be stronger than Chesed. Chesed is the giving, the Gevurah is the receiving, but also the stopping and the boundaries, and also is connected to evil. From here comes the Sitra Acha from the left side, and it's connected to judgment. But we never want the left to be stronger than the arm. So statistically, left will always be weaker than the arm. If you want to do Jewish Tai Chi, you always put the right hand over the left hand. Not all the time in Chinese, in Tai Chi, that's like this. Sometimes I want you to do this. It's like the chakra, they have a different system. But I wanted also to tell you one embodied thing. In Chabad people clothing, you'll see there's a difference between the way the buttons or the jackets are overlapping with the buttons, right? For men is one side way, for women is the other way. I never remember which way. I'm not big on button down, but you'll figure out if you buy male regular clothes, that will be like, I think for the men, it's the right over the left, because Chabad will specially design the shirt and their male jackets to be left over right, because to be right over left, because left should never be on the right. I guess what I did before was different. Can you confirm that? Let's look. Alan is wearing a shirt. The left is over the right, right? There's a male shirt. The left is over the right. What is with you, David? Is the left over the right? Okay, I don't know. So if you were a Chabad person, you will make sure that you buy shirts so the right is over the left. Okay, so I gave you a little bit of embodied feeling, what it is. I'm not saying go change your shirt. You don't have to convert to Chabad, but just think of it. Think of it, what it means to specially order a shirt that makes sure Chesed is always stronger than Gevurah. Okay, I guess I have to get up because we talk about Tiferet. Said it, Tikunei HaZohar says, Eliyahu Navi says it's the body. We usually like to think of it is in the heart, right? Tiferet is in the heart. Tiferet is the center of the body. We'll say something of that in a minute after we finish the body scan. This is Sephirotic body scan. You can do it before you get up in the morning, before you go to bed, go to sleep at night. Yeah? Okay. This is the upper triangle. right? Keter Chochma Bina were the upper, but now we're done with that. We're here. So we have an upper triangle. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet. I want to tell you that this is the most used triangle, dyad and triangle, when we talk about relationship. Like, looks like Netzach and Hod are kind of derivatives of the upper triangle. Netzach and Hod are like the weakest Sefirot in a way of what do they mean. You'll see that. I mean, I always try to find interesting things about them, but okay, so there they are. Okay, so they're the legs. Now, in the male body, there are also the two testicles. Okay, there's always an interesting discussion what it is in the female body, which the Kabbalists dealt a little bit less with because they put this female into Shekhinah, complete. So they thought less about it. There's other ideas, but we can think of the legs. We all have legs. There's one thing interesting about Chesed and Gevura. They can work separately, right? You can have one hand, or you can have left hand, and you can just use your right hand. You can even have your left hand not functioning in a sling, and you can do everything. When you have one of your legs not functioning, you actually can't walk. You can hobble with crutches, which are artificial legs, okay? But there's something about Netzach and Hod that they always go together. They always go together, like in a book, one of the books that we'll derive from a lot, Sha'arei Ora, by Rabbi Yosef Jikatia, 13th century Kabbalist, competitor of the Zohar. When he talks about, it's about the 10 Sefirot, the Netzach and Hod are together, they get one chapter. They don't even get to different chapter. They've got names. One is called the divine names. Each Sefirah has to do the divine name. They're kind of clumped together as Tzvaot. They're like two kinds of Tzvaot. So just like the legs. So from this we could see that the whole idea of embodying the Sefirot is not a new age idea, like, as I said, we just like to think about things. No, this is on the body. You understand the essence of what it is Netzach v'Hod, because you said to me, I can't walk on one leg. I really can't. Nobody can. All right. I broke my leg last year, so I know that I've felt it. What does it mean not to have, I have one leg completely fine, can't work with it, okay? So this is that. Okay, now when we go to Yesod, for those who try to put the female body, they try to see, can we work with the womb for women? But in a classical way, Yesod has to do, as I said, is connected to Siyum Haguf, to the phallus. And it's very important to the imagery that's going to come up with the Sefirot, because once we go to Yesod, we finish 6, okay? We had Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. There is also a connection between the Sefirot and the divine name. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Okay? So the Yud has to do with Chokhmah. The Hey has to do with Binah. Keter is the Kotzo shel Yod, is the chupchik of when you write Yud in like the Ktav Stam. It's the little tiny thorn at the head of the Yud. That's Keter. Okay, Yud Hey have to do with the upper triangle, and Vav Hey. So we have only 2 letters for all 7 Sefirot. How does that work? Anybody can tell me what is Vav connected to and what is Hey connected to? You don't have to guess. You can know and tell us.
Vav is 6.
Vav is 6, exactly. Vav is 6. And this is called Shesh Ktsavot HaTiferet. Okay, the 6 katse, like size of Tiferet. Tiferet is in the middle, and it's 6. Okay, what does that remind you? Kind of a symbol that you all know. What has 6? Magen David?
Magen David.
Right, Magen David. So when we're thinking of Magen David with the 6, that actually is Tiferet. And Tiferet has can be contracted and can be expanded, contracted and expanded. Okay, so it could be the Vav, and the Vav is also exactly the image of our spine, right? So what is connecting all the limbs, including the sexual organs, is our spine, connected from here to here. This is the Vav. It looks like a Vav, right? It's all very physical. It's all very imagery. It's not just numbers, it's also images. And then Malchut will, as I said, if you want to see it in your own body, it will be the feet or the mouth in an interesting way over the vagina, but really it is Malchut as it stands on its own. It's the full femininity. So those 6 are creating an archetypal masculinity, and the Malchut, the 7th, Batsheva, the daughter of 7, she is finishing the system. And really, 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 I said from here, we hear the ups, we didn't talk about this, but even those 6 are not really, I said they are in the body, but they're not in our body. They're in God's body. We are in Shekhinah. I said another word. We haven't heard about it. Malchut. Malchut is identical to Shekhinah, and you all know about Shekhinah, I'm sure. And if you don't, in the 7th week, we'll talk about it plenty. But the whole idea of being a Kabbalist and working with the Sefirot, it actually is from the benefit of the Shekhinah, because Shekhinah is really us in this world. Shekhinah, Malchut. Malchut means our world. And it's connected to Keter. Back to Keter, we say, Sefirot sofan na'utz b'tchilatan. I'll show you a diagram. I said it was 3-dimensional, but it was hierarchical, right? This is the top, this is the bottom, but actually it says the Sefirot, it's like an Ouroboros. It's like this mythical dragon snake that holds its mouth, its own tail. So we can see that Malchut is actually Keter. Malchut is actually Keter. Now, we started, we read a little bit from the beginning of Tikkunei HaZohar. The Tikkunei HaZohar, his whole job in life and all his writing was to redeem the Shekhinah. Because he said the Shekhinah, Malchut, is not in a good way, and we can see she's not in a good way, and part because she's the reflection of our reality, and she is our reality. Our reality is not doing well, and from that we know that Shekhinah is not doing well. So we'll talk more about how do we correct it, how do we fix it, what is the Sephirotic story about it. But now I want to jump into another image. I'm bombarding you with images because I would like you to come out of this class a little bit, what was that? I mean, some of you are very knowledgeable, so for some of you it's not new, but I'm trying to find things that maybe you don't, and for some of us it's like completely new and you go, it's like, what was that? What was that? And the thing is like, let it settle as images. The Sefirot are very elusive. If I take myself, for example.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? This is Denny.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting that engaging with the Sefirot in counting in Sefirot Omer is an expression of Tikkun Olam.
It's not an expression of Tikkun Olam. This is Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam this is exactly what it is.
Yeah, okay.
When the Kabbalists invented the words Tikkun Olam, that's what they meant.
Okay.
So you're right there. Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm getting great questions. Okay, I hope I'll have time for a few more. Ken, Ariella, and then I'll get to the other diagram. Ken.
Okay, so there's 6 of the Sefirot associated with the Vav, and then there's the Hey, which is the Malchut and the Keter.
No, Hey
Just
is the
Malchut.
Malchut.
Okay. So is there still a balance of masculine and feminine?
The whole dance that we're doing is to create a balance between masculine and feminine.
Okay, so even though Malchut is just on her own, the Shekhinah is all on her own, she's still somehow imbalanced.
No, she's not in balance. That's the problem.
Right. But so
That's
is
the
one
problem.
Sephira supposed to balance with the other 6?
Yes, 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 yes. This is what makes it. That's what we make the 6-1. Because in other languages that are not Sephirotic, we talk about the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. Okay, the Kadosh Baruch Hu are the 6. Shechina is the Hey, the lower Hey. Yes, and the job of us as Kabbalists is to bring together the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. Remember I mentioned Kabbalat Shabbat? That's Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. That's what we're doing. If you are opening the Sidur for the tefillot of for Sfirat Omer, and if you're doing it Kabbalistically, or you find it in the Seder as well, you will start with saying this: L'Shem Yechud Kudshabrichu U'Shchintei, for the unification of Kudshabrichu and the Shechina. I'm reading from a Sidur. B'tchilu Uchimu, with fear and love. Okay, Tchilu Uchimu, fear and love, Chesed and Gvura. Leyached Shem, Yud Hei Bevav Hei. I want to unify the 2 halves of the divine name. I want to unify Yud Hei with Vav Hei. B'yichud Hashlim b'Shem Kol Israel, in a complete unification in the name of all of Israel. Hineni Muchan u'Mezuman לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר. כמו שכתוב בתורה. So I got to the place when I wanted the last 15 minutes, I want to talk about the practice, because you're going to start it before we meet again. Okay, so this is what we say. This is about, we all the time when we do things in Kabbalah, we unify the male principle and the female principle. Because all tzuras in the world come because they are not unified. So 6, okay, another 6 and 1. Look at the week. 6 days of work and Shabbat. The 6 days are the 6 Sefirot from Chesed to Yesod, and then Shabbat. Now, Kabbalists they're not afraid of sexual imagery, they go the whole way. So Yesod, I said, is the phallus, Malchut is the vagina, and the idea is to bring them together. But bring them together the imagery is Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. Like you don't think of, okay, I'm bringing the phallus and putting it into a vagina. No, you want to bring the divine feminine and the divine masculine together, and you're taking them into the bedroom to yichud, like you do with the bride and the groom, and you leave them there. Because you shouldn't be peeking. That's not okay. That's not tzanua. And, you know, it's dangerous. You don't want to be actually looking into where the unification is. But the Kabbalist, specifically the Zohar, likes to paint it. And actually the pinnacle of that is Shavuot in the Zohar. Is like remember I told you Malchut is Torah shebe'al peh, right? And we want to bring it together with our Chatan, which is Torah shebichtav, because it's Chag Matan Torah. Yes? So we want to bring them together, and Rabbi Shimon says how we all need to be coming together and Erev Shavuot and stay all night, because we are the bridesmaids. We are all the bridesmaids, and we're adorning her. And because she doesn't have a lot of herself. We'll talk more about it. We'll talk about Shechina. She's poor, and we need to pour more and more and more into her. So she's beautiful and she's radiant. And the problem of the world is that there's an imbalance with the feminine principle and the masculine principle. And our job is to bring her up so they will be panim befanim. Because most of the time they're not panim befanim, they're not face to face. So what we do in Erev Shavuot, I guess we'll maybe talk about it on the 7th week, is how do we all night make her more and more and more beautiful? And this is through all the books of Torah, all the books of Mishnah, all the books of Talmud, all the books of Kabbalah. And we do it like in the technical Sfaradi Tikkun, you do it not by studying interesting subject, by actually chanting snippets from this, and it's really, the word that said we adorn the Kala. If you ever been to a Yemenite China, you will see what adorning the Kala. Like the Kala is sitting there with tons of golds and silver and copper and bells on her, like tons and tons of heaviness. You adorn her more and more and more, and then you bring her to the level where the Chatan is wowed by her. We actually see it even in a modern, not even Jewish weddings, not adorning, but that moment, the ritual that we create, that the Kala will come, and the Chatan will look at her and will be, wow. There's all rituals of not seeing the dress and or not meeting. And I said it's not even Jewish, it's all over cultures. What would be the moment of wow? The moment of wow. And that's, Kabbalistically, is Shavuot. So we wanna, this is what's happening in the mystical realm. But we don't have a lot of time. So this class is we have 10 more minutes. So let's see what of the things we're gonna. So I want to share with you. I mean, like the pictures. In the pictures, I said you'll see the menorah. I'll show you here. The menorah. This is Psalm 57 that is said after Sfirat Omer, and it's like that's the 7, the middle pillar. That's Tiferet, and 3, 3, 3. Okay, 3 from here, 3 from here. That's another spherotic diagram. It's not the body, it's not the diagram, it's not, there's other in a circle, but there's the menorah, and this is directly connected to Sfirat Omer. But one thing that we say in the end, no, I don't say, some say, okay, after Sfirat Omer, if you want to say the Kabbalistic formula, you said, it's in your page, but I read it to you. Yehi ratzon milefanecha, may it be your will that in the merit of Sfirat Omer that I counted today, yetukan ma shepagamti bisfira. I will be fixing what I've done wrong with a specific sfira. And as you know, Sfirat Omer is everyday sfira within another sfira. Now, I'm not working on all those intricate because I don't think it's very useful. I tried it for when it became like, there was all kind of books 20 years ago, and I was like, I think most of us cannot really figure what does it mean, one sfira into one sfira. Taking a whole week to focus on one sfira is for me enough. So that's what I'm offering in this. And anyway, we don't meet every day. If we met every day, we could do it. But then what's going to happen after I do this fixing? ועל ידי זה יושפע שפע רב בכל העולמות. And by my inner work and my counting, יושפע שפע רב בכל העולמות. There will be tremendous שפע, influx, divine influx in all the words. This is sitting on the Kabbalistic notion of עבודת צורך גבוה. I'm quoting Rabbi Meir Ibn Gabbai. What we do is we do because God needs us to do things. We need to fix all the world. Putting a lot of responsibility on our shoulders, but also ability, responsibility and ability. ועל ידי זה יושפע שפע רב בכל העולמות. I want to share with you, there is a melody that is a Hasidic melody, very known. ועל ידי זה יושפע שפע רב, ויושפע שפע רב בכל העולמות. And there's all kind of versions of actually how do you do that. It's kind of not so much of a melody, but like a chant. I do that, and I found this video that totally blew my mind. These are youth chalutzim in Hungary, Munkac, in the 30s. In the 30s, okay, before everything. And they are in a hachshara, and they are dancing and singing. The melody that they do before, you la la, you la la, you la, you la, you la la, you la la, you la la, you la, you la la. It was taken in Israel to use for Chag Purim, Chag Gadol LaYeladim. It's a Hasidic melody. And be ready to be, I don't know, I was laughing and crying, and I don't know, but this is our ancestors in the beautiful youth. I see, I don't know if I did it, if I did share with, yes, I have to hear the sound. Okay. ועל ידי זה יושפע שפע רב, יושפע שפע רב בכל העולמות, ועל ידי זה יושפע שפע רב, יושפע שפע רב בכל העולמות. מה אני אגיד לכם, the time that we are finding here to get a דרישת שלום from Hungary in the 30s, men and women together, you can hear the women singing. It was like owning it. This is ours, the שלנו. We can do it. I want to invite you to, first I want to invite you to sign up for this course. Some of you have and some of you haven't. I want to invite you to sign up for this course to continue this work together. But some of you will not, so I want to send you back with the questions to discern, with the question that I started in the beginning, which is like, what's going to be your journey this year? And these are the ideas that I had. Maybe you can come up with a few more. So the original one, what we read, is like, I need to fix what I've done wrong with each sfira. So I'll understand, I need to understand what is Sfirat Chesed and see what does it mean, how do I reflect the divine quality of Chesed in my life, and what have I done wrong? This sounds kind of a little bit of a parallel of Avodat Tshuva of Rosh Hashanah, right? What have I done wrong? What do I fix? This is one there. Another one I want to offer is the work of, I'm using a Latin word, imitatio Dei. How do I imitate the divine? Okay, I bring the Talmudic phrase, Mahu rachum afata rachum, Mahu chanun afata rachum. God is of the midah of, I'm translating in the midah of chesed. What does that mean? You should also be like God, be like God, be like God. doesn't mean it doesn't have a little bit of a tshuva, מה שפגמתי, but it starts with a more of a positive way of looking at things. It's like, wow, this is what I want to learn, something I want to learn from my mother, something I want to learn from my father. I have a friend who's like that. I want to be like her. Imitat your day. That's another way of trying to understand with Sefirah and see, how do I want to imitate this, be that way. Another one is more meditative. It's not so much looking into yourself and to the way you do things, although it will always influence it, but it doesn't start with like, okay, chesed is milut chasadim, how much tzedakah I'm giving today, should I be give more? No, it's the notion of leistakla beikara de malka. I want to be gazing into the divine and see the glory of the divine, glory of the king. So it's a work of wow. It's like a meditative work of wow. Now it's not so easy because the word around is pretty much chinatic. It doesn't work so well. So can we look into the divine, says, wow, God, you're amazing, and see that? Or if there is a difficulty seeing it, breaking through. This is a meditative journey for those of you who have practice in meditation. Okay, this is not your first step, but if you already know how to meditate, I will give you ideas what you can meditate in, the gazing into divine. This is kind of a little bit less of Maaseh Bereshit and more of the Maaseh Merkava. I want to gaze and God. I want to understand God's better. I want to get God's way. There's another way, we'll talk about it. I think I'll bring things from Rabbi Moshe Cordovero about it. Is like you understand mitzvot as connected to certain sefirah, and you tighten your practice of this mitzvah more. Okay? They're kind of overlapping. Okay? But there's like different ways that you go into things. Another one could be like when there was a time when I was really into it, is like to do some self-diagnosis. Said that not just a body scanning, but a self-diagnosis and trying to understand yourself. This is kind of more Hasidic style work. Is like, I'll give an example for myself. Like I was born Gevuradik, I'm a Gevuradik person. This comes to me naturally. So I want to understand my Gevura and try to keep it on the light side, not in the shadow side. It's Sefirah as light and shadow to it. We'll go more into it. So I want to keep my Gevura. I said, yes, I've got that. This is my thing, but let me keep to the light side and not go into anger, for example, and not be too strict, which is the shadow side of Gevura. At the same time, I want to develop more chesed, because if I'm leaning more into Gevura, I will have less chesed. So I said, okay, chesed is my weak hand. Okay, I need to practice, I need to give myself mitzvot that will work more with my chesed. Okay, this is kind of like a massage. It's very, it's more psychological work. Like understand the mystical concepts and do psychological work. Physical work, there's the pasuk from Yov, I think, Mibsari echeze Eloha. From my flesh, I will see God. This could actually be, it's springtime. Quite some people do change of diet, change of exercise, change of understanding their sleep. It's a good time of year to do that. You said, this year, I'm going into my body and I'm trying to understand in each sefirah. Okay, fine, what's with my right hand, what's with my left hand? But no, let's go more into it. I'm too lenient, I'm too chesed in the way I don't take my exercise so seriously because I'm too chesedic with myself. But so of course it has a body-mind connection, but my focus will be in my body, okay? And through that, I'll be correcting the pgam, and I know that it will influence the divine body. That's another way of looking at the interconnectedness of all things. I know I'm a little bit above the time, but give me 2 more minutes. And what about just being curious? Torah lishma. Thank God, thank you very much. I don't wish to take it into a deep psychological shifting of things, but I want to study what it is. And I want to study about the, as I said, I actually don't want to be so much in the body, I want to be in the head. I want to learn if it will get to my mitzvot, wonderful, but I'm here to learn this is a valid way of doing the Omer. So I threw some things into your ways. You can journal, you can meditate, you can do chavruta, accountability, specifically if you want to make changes in your life. This is just quite some way to do this work. I need to officially finish this class. I was suggested to do it for an hour and a quarter, but maybe it needs to be an hour and a half. I will discuss it with the people who sign up. I want to really, really thank you for coming and spending this hour and 15 minutes with me. You've given me quite an impetus to go. I'm going to officially close the meeting, but I'm happy to stay here for questions. And I will record the questions and the answers. So those who need to go, בברכת פסח שמח וכשר. And those who want to stay and ask questions or make comments, בבקשה, I'm happy to do that.
תודה רבה, תודה רבה.
פסח שמח. So, are there any questions or comments or your ideas?
Can I just go ahead?
Yes, go for
Okay,
it.
so I would need to know before I signed up for the class if you're going to extend it to 90 minutes, because I can't do the class if you extend it to 90 minutes.
Okay.
But
so
I
let's
just
say,
wanted, if you could just let us know.
This is enough to say no, because I declared it as 75. So let's stay with,
Okay,
and then
great.
anybody who wants to stay after can stay.
Okay, the other thing is there any way you could make it darker? The source sheet, it's like very light.
The source sheets I'm going to actually send to you. I usually don't share on the screen so much. So I'll send it to you and you'll be able to print it or look at it.
Great,
And
thank you.
I'll look at it. These are technical questions I have to. Did other people have that problem?
No?
It was very light. Okay,
It
maybe
was a little light.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, like
it
maybe I
wasn't
need to
distracting,
maybe
but-
maybe maybe I need to have less light on the screen like that.
Oh, okay, okay. Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a delightful class. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. עוד שאלות? כן, אני.
Okay, so I have only one ask and then I have a question. The ask is, I'm not always sure what page you're referring to on the source sheet. I printed out, and then you don't mention, if you would just mention where you are, because I spend the whole time looking sometimes.
This time I share screen, so I related to what was on the screen.
Yeah, but I don't always know what page it is, so I'm flipping around. I don't know whether.
No, but what I'm saying, this time I share screen, so it was on the screen.
But I like to take notes.
Okay, so next time everything will be labeled.
This was a stellar class. I absolutely loved it. Of course, I'm signing up.
Yay.
But it shifts. It was just what I needed with counting the Omer. I have and I love the upper triangle, getting out of our heads. It's the whole point. I'm taking a class in the Zohar now, and so every other word is Shekhinah. I'm adoring, and of course you're bringing that in. What about, I also very much am inspired by elevating the sparks of light.
That is Luriani Kabbalah. I'm not touching it.
Okay,
so another,
but I can
like the Ari is not big on, it doesn't talk too much on the language of Sefirot.
Okay.
So that's another. It's exciting. It's wonderful. I love
it.
studying. Yes.
I was trying to marry the two because of
Yeah,
unity.
no, it's
So,
not.
and you mentioned, I didn't catch the reference. If you could give us the reference in an email or in the chat now to the post Moses de Leon writing that you mentioned in the 14th century. I think you said there was
Rabbi Moshe Cordovero.
Code of
Cordovero from the
Okay, yes.
16th
Yeah,
century. The word,
okay.
the book of Tomer Devorah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yes. All right. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Besimcha. Yes, Yona.
Yeah, the thing that comes up to me about elevating the feminine, how are they doing that at Chabad when the men are the only ones that pray? Or I mean, pray, but
It's
lay.
not Chabad, is the whole world. When you talk about the principle of feminine, you not necessarily talk about your wife. People were living, all the Kabbalists were living in societies where women had a different place. So there weren't that many women Kabbalists, and it's more of a consciousness, like how come. But I must say that, halacha aside, and, the different roles of men and women, Chabad actually empowers women more than other Hasidic sects in this world. But they're not egalitarian in any way, shape, and form. We are. So understanding of Kabbalah, Kabbalah is building another level on top of what was before it, and we are adding another level, which feminism and Jewish feminism, understanding that women have something to say from the experience of their body. You'll find that in this class with no shame, but traditional people are traditional.
Mm.
What you hear from me is not Chabad teaching. You hear feminist teaching. So, yeah. Slicha that I can't fix it all.
Okay.
Ken,
Toda rabba.
yeah. Is there any more questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, Danny.
If that's okay.
Better.
It's about the video that you showed us from Munkach, and it made me cry because just a few words that you said before, this was from before everything. Before everything. And, I don't know, in the beginning there was before everything somehow came to my mind, and I do know somebody from Munkach, Menachem Kalis, and I was thinking about the impact on him and on all of us about the everything, and where we are right now in this moment. And then my question about Tikkun Olam, is this an expression? I've been counting the Omer for many, many years, but I don't know that I thought of it as Tikkun Olam. I didn't. And so to have that idea in this moment is really powerful. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I cried and cried when I saw this clip. I'm from Hungary. My father is from Hungary. חברות וחברים, פסח כשר ושמח. תודה רבה, Dan. Thank you for manning the mute button. And בעזרת השם, I'll see some of you next week, אחרי שנצא ממצרים.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Toda rabba.